Ida for letting my parents secretly give my son an extra gift and not my stepkids. I married my husband Micah 3 years ago, and we have been together for 6 years. We were long distance for more than 2 years when I moved to be closer to him and my parents with my son who is now 8. The decision came after my son's dad left the country and stopped having any relation or any contact with us. He dropped off the face of planet from us. My husband is divorced and has an 11-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter with his ex-wife. My husband's parents started playing favorites when they learned I was pregnant with mine and my husband's daughter. They would bring lavish gifts for my stepkids and would maybe bring something small for my son. But they mostly ignored him, and the final straw was them being all theatrical over giving my stepkids gifts because their grandbabies were so special. My husband told them to leave, and they were to leave us alone. My husband's ex-wife, who never liked that he remarried, decided to maintain a very full relationship with my husband's parents and also allowed them to give gifts at her house. It became such a big deal that last year, and for the last 2 birthdays they had, it was mentioned around my son all the time. Not to mention, she invites them all to my stepkids' school plays and other activities, where they make a very big show of being very involved and loving and ignoring my son. It's also worth noting that they never showed at this stuff before according to my husband, even when invited. After all he went through with his dad abandoning him, never having the trust of his paternal grandparents, and then people who had been good to him at first, and who said he could call them grandma and grandpa, dismissing him in favor of biological grandkids. We were so worried about the harm that would come to him psychologically. So my parents asked us a few months ago if they could give my son an extra gift, a big nice gift, away from my stepkids, so he could feel extra loved and like he's not getting any less. My husband and I agreed. Somehow my in-laws found out about the gift, and we are not sure how because even my son doesn't know yet. And my parents don't know my in-laws or ever see or contact them. But they said we can't complain about them and then allow the same to happen to their grandkids. They argued with my husband, who told them to leave us alone and that we are not being cruel about it. Part of me still feels guilty though and worries they will tell my stepkids or make it an even bigger deal. They told my stepkid's mom and sent my husband a text about it and said we are horrible people. Am I wrong for allowing it? I just need to figure it out or not. Am I wrong for saying I'll cancel Christmas dinner if people come without food? I'm female 33, bought a new house this year. I've been very fortunate and have landed a good job after university, which allowed me to buy my first house in my 30s. But I digress. In my culture, we start celebrating on Christmas Eve with a huge dinner which traditionally has 12 different dishes. Many families do less, but my family always have done a minimum of 12. I have a fairly large family, grandparents, aunts and uncles and younger cousins. I have 3 siblings, each of them have their own kids. I don't have any. Christmas is a big affair in my family and it typically has 30 plus people during the dinner. We have managed with smaller places, but since my house is fairly large with a nice dining area, my family asked if I could host it this year. I said yes, but under one condition. Everyone brings one dish from the list. That way, one person wouldn't slip away. Christmas prep can be days in advance as some dishes like Legos get bigger with time. And we share the cost as it can really add up for one person and then we can share leftovers. They all agreed to it and I gave them all a list in August. I've been getting calls from my family since yesterday. Everyone has an excuse on why they won't be able to bring a meal. Excuses range from I'm busy with work, or I have kids I don't have time to cook with them on Christmas break, or my dog ate my cooking book. The last one is a joke, but some of their excuses are equally as funny. With almost everyone bailing, I'm quite annoyed. It's the 23rd and I'd have to do all the cooking myself, meaning that I'd have to go and do shopping, shops being packed, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then cook and bake all night and likely not have everything ready. I've written down my to-do list and wanted to cry. It was too much. I called my family and got majority of them on conference call. I told them that I won't be doing all the cooking and they had 3 options. First, they all cook like we agreed. Number 2, I make a big batch of homemade pizza and we'll have Christmas pizza which was met with cries, you can't do that to kids. Number 3, I cancel the dinner. They come over and I don't open my door, pretending I'm not home while I'm eating my pizza, watching something in bed. They're fuming, saying that I ruined Christmas and I'm heartless. They were going off in our group chat and calling me an asshole. It got so bad that I muted them. I've never seen them this bad, which makes me worried if I'm the real asshole here. Am I wrong for threatening that I'll cancel Christmas dinner? Am I wrong for telling my family they can't use Spanish on Christmas Day or my husband and I are not coming? My family is Mexican and we live in Texas. Everyone in my family is bilingual and they tend to mix English and Spanish constantly. My siblings' spouses have all learned some Spanish, some better, some worse, but they can still participate in all conversations. I've been with my husband for 10 years. He took a few classes but he found it too difficult and decided that he can't learn a language as it's his thing. Just like math isn't his thing and he dropped it. Every family gathering, there are a lot of them. He feels left out because everyone switches back and forth and he doesn't understand them. I have to translate for him and it really must be uncomfortable for him. This year he said that he is not coming. He feels excluded and even when he talks with non-Mexican spouses, they mix and match languages and he feels it's to mock him because there is no need to. I called my mother and told her that they must promise not to speak Spanish because it's excluding my husband or we are not coming. My mother was angry. She told me they are not going to police their speech, that they were accommodating for the first few years, but he made no effort and it's ridiculous that he doesn't even try. I told her that he did try, but she knows it's difficult for him. She said that he's no longer invited and I can come on my own. I was really angry and gave my ultimatum. This didn't go down well. My whole family is pissed. My husband is on my side and I don't know anymore. Am I wrong for giving them the ultimatum? I'm 17 and my little sister is 15. Our dad died about 10 years ago. It was sudden and devastating. One day he kissed and hugged me and sister and told us he loved us, and then we never heard from him again. At that time, I couldn't fully grasp why he chose to stay away even though mom tried to explain it to us. I missed him and thought I did something wrong to make dad mad. I repeatedly called his phone, hoping he would answer, but it always went directly to his voicemail. At his funeral, I realized I would never see him again, and I broke down. I don't remember much from that day, except Uncle David held me the entire time. He held me throughout the funeral, during the drive home, and as I fell asleep that night. Uncle Alan did the same thing with Sis. It wasn't easy growing up with just my mom and sister, but not as tough as it could have been, because the two uncles were always a phone call away. Whenever we needed help with school, one of the uncles was there to tutor us. One of them was always in front of the row of every school performance and game. Whenever I wake up in the middle of the night and miss Dad, I call Uncle David and know he'll always pick up. My mom eventually remarried to Bob. I never liked Bob because he always had to be in control and placed us on a strict schedule. Dinner was at 7 every day no matter what. If he came home late and dinner was over, we weren't allowed to eat that night. Whenever uncles gave me and Sis money, we had to give it to Bob and he divided the money equally. A couple of months ago, Sis and I were eating with Uncle David and his family. Our dinner conversation eventually led to where I want to go for college and how to pay for it. Uncle David told me that the uncles decided long ago they were going to pay for me and sister's tuition and cost of living on campus. I cried when I heard that and laughed when he jokingly said he hoped I don't get into medical school because that's going to cost him a fortune. I went home and excitedly told Mom and Bob that uncles are going to pay for our colleges. Instead of being happy, they both looked furious, and Bob started screaming about how unfair it was to our step-siblings and half-sister that we're getting a free ride through college. He wanted me to tell our uncles to divide the college funds equally among the kids, but I refused. The next day, he kept on screaming at us, so Sis and I packed our bags to go to Uncle David's house. He kept on screaming and even followed us out to my car. Sis and I have been living with Uncle David and his family ever since. This feels more like home than it ever did at our house. Mom has been asking us to come home for Christmas for a month and have been refusing. Today is the 24th and she's been calling all morning crying and saying how we need to spend Christmas with family. Am I wrong for not spending Christmas with Mom? Ida for refusing to contribute to the vet bill after my sister's dog ate chocolate while I was there. I live around 6-hour drive from my family. I was able to take a few days off work to come visit them for the holidays, and I've been staying with my sister. This is something we planned several months in advance. My family likes to go all out on Christmas. Just to explain, my sister's house has 3 bedrooms. 2 of the bedrooms are upstairs, and 1 is downstairs on the ground floor. My sister and her husband's bedroom and my older niece's bedroom are upstairs. My younger niece's bedroom is downstairs. And my younger niece's bedroom is by far the biggest, so we agreed that I'd stay there with an air mattress. My sister has a dog, and the dog normally sleeps downstairs in the living room. Last night, apparently my younger niece couldn't sleep and got into a box of chocolates my sister left out in the dining room. She ate some and she fed some to the dog, then went back to bed. None of us noticed until the morning when I saw the dog was vomiting and acting really strange, and my sister noticed the chocolates weren't there where she left them. We put two and two together and my niece admitted she fed the dog some chocolate. She knew chocolate was bad for dogs but thought only a few would be okay. My sister rushed the dog to the vet. Luckily, the dog is going to be okay, but there is a considerable vet bill to pay. And my sister doesn't have pet insurance. She's demanding that I contribute to the cost, saying that it's partially my fault for not waking up and noticing that my niece got out of bed and left the room. She said I should have been keeping an eye on her. I'm a heavy sleeper, so I can't say I'm surprised this didn't wake me, especially if she was sneaking around quietly. She accused me of making excuses and that as a nearby responsible adult, I need to be more proactive. I think my sister is being unreasonable. If I wasn't there, it wouldn't have made a difference. It's not like I was babysitting or something. Out of all the stories, story number 1 and 3 are by far the most infuriating. I mean, I cannot wrap my head around the idea that you're competing with kids. Those children have lost their fathers, and instead of making their life easier, you have the audacity and the guts to compete with them and make their life more miserable. The least you could do is let them spend their Christmas peacefully and not be a party pooper. What do you guys think? Out of all of these people, who do you think is the biggest asshole? Tell me in the comments down below. Also, subscribe to my channel for more. And I wish you a big, hearty, happy Merry Christmas. Bye!